Right. So this is a little session around employability, but particularly focusing on Gen Y and Gen Z. But I'm going to particularly be slanting this towards Gen Z as the new emerging early careers labor market. I'm going to be focusing on four research reports by Deloitte. And again, I'll show you the headings of what these reports are, the dates at which point the research took place, and you will be able to find these if you Google them. They are free online and available. So the first report, and please do look at the reports. I'm just grabbing out some key information around, I guess, the topic of resilience and why resilience is an important element in today's workplace, particularly among early careers. So please do look at the report. There's loads of other gold nuggets that you can use and find. So Deloitte's Global Millennial Survey, this was done in 2020. The key focus here being coming out of the financial crisis, but also the impact of COVID-19. And the report's name is Resilient Generations Hold the Key to Creating a Better Normal. And of course, COVID created what we call the new normal. Now, as we think about our employability skills and we think about how we position ourselves in a labor market to get those jobs that we want, it's really important to understand the changes within labor market expectations, but also in terms of the soft skills that are needed. If you are Gen Z, you will be able to identify with some of this research. So two headlines that I want to pull out. Look on the right-hand side, close to half. So 48% of Gen Z and 44% of Gen Y, or the millennials, in the primary survey said they're stressed all or most of the time. I have quite heated debates with generations such as Gen X and Boomers who don't want to admit that there are generational differences. Not so that these generational differences create a divide, but recognizing the pressures that a younger generation is under now that they're coming into labor markets. I have never experienced the amount of stress in the labor markets that I have in the last 10 years. And I really feel for younger generations coming into this labor market with a real sense of uncertainty, ambivalence, constant change and flux. And so no wonder you're feeling stressed. Now, what this does mean is that younger generations have to work harder at understanding what makes them stressed and recognizing how to be able to do things that enable them to have a more sustainable long-term future. And we're gonna dive into the data on the left-hand side in a minute. Isn't it interesting that where jobs cause the stress, job loyalty rises as businesses address employee needs from diversity, inclusion, sustainability, and reskilling. And I don't know, for whatever reason, if you may be an employer listening to this, the skills course at the moment, this is a real message that goes out. The younger generation, the Gen Zs who are now part of the early careers labor force, they take diversity, inclusion, environmental issues, sustainability, and reskilling seriously. They see through whitewashing. They see through any kind of inauthentic kind of behavior. These things are important. In the primary survey, more millennials said they'd like to stay with the employers for at least 5 years than would prefer to leave within the 2 years because they identify with their diversity, inclusion, sustainability, and reskilling agenda. So let's look at some of the pressures that a emerging generation is experiencing at the moment. Family, financial future, job prospects, these remain the primary sources of stress. So if we look down at the data, we can see that my job career prospects, 40% among Gen Y, 46% among Gen Z parents. Gen Z parents, they worry about the future of their child in terms of Gen Z. And this measures the stresses that they are seeing on their children. 46 being the highest in terms of job and career prospects. This is why this course that you're doing here on Udemy around do-it-yourself employability skills is so important. Empower yourself to take control in terms of these kinds of things. Also, just want to point out a huge data difference is that of school and education. And again, bear in mind this was done in 2020, bearing in mind that education went online across the board all over the world. And it raised some serious questions about whether we need to be in a classroom in order to learn. And so data after 2020 on these particular topics is very interesting. And there are many charities set up now, particularly in the UK. Not going to university, for example, is one of those where they are exploring alternatives to education to enable you to be prosperous within a job market. So this is the Deloitte Global Millennial Survey in 2020. Let's move on into 2021, a call for accountability and action. And again, they focus on millennial and Gen Zs. And the key data here, again, please go look through these reports. They are absolutely insightful. It's not my intention to read the reports to you, but just to grab some key information as it fits here with the employability agenda, particularly around issues of resilience. So millennials and Gen Z see flexibility as the most critical employee characteristic for a successful business. Now, the interesting thing here with regards to this question is they themselves may see this as a requirement, be flexible. But I think as well, and this is from my own observation, working with early careers across universities and companies, is to what degree can they themselves be flexible? And realize that there is no perfect organization, there is no perfect situation. We're not excusing bad management or bad behavior, but how agile are you in an environment where things are not predictable? So flexibility and adaptability, employee behavior, most critical to successful businesses, according to Gen Y and Gen Z, is the ability to be flexible and adaptable. You'll notice next as we go down, be creativity. So again, picking up on the entrepreneurial streak within Gen Z, technologically savvy. These are digital natives, and then the rest continue to go down to make some interesting data. Moving on, again in 2021, June 2021, millennials and Generation Z making mental health at work a priority. Now, the reason why I'm zoning in on this again is because we are here talking about resilience, and it's worth looking at the data that the younger generations are the ones that are really feeling it. The pinch is there. And again, as we think about employability skills, it's not just about putting the skills on that is required by your employer or your prospective employer, but making sure that you survive this aspect of life called work. The percentage who said the following factors contribute to stress: the welfare of my family, very high. And again, you'll notice my job and my career prospects, even more so for the Gen Zs. And this is taken from the generations themselves, not looking at the parents answering this for them. Again, you'll notice quite a high one on financial future as well, which is really what feeds the side hustle movement among the younger generation. It's not about being greedy for money. It's about making sure that they have a secure financial future. Do listen to the podcast by L'Oreal, the early careers manager from L'Oreal, and they've really got it. They understand the Generation Z drive in terms of side hustle. So again, some interesting data here from 2021. And then a final report, 2022. I'm recording this now towards the end of 2023. So this is about a year old. Striving for balance, advocating for change. And the key findings that came out of the executive summary is that Gen Y and Gen Z are struggling with the cost of living, and they have grave financial concerns. And this is all post-COVID. The Great Resignation, so this is 50 plus, 45 years old, 50 plus, who left organizations to take early retirement or to have a major career change. It signals a breaking point and an opportunity to reassess how we work. It also created a major gap in middle management. Do go look at my other labor report video. Prioritizing sustainable choices and environmental action by employers. As I record this, I know that our summer in the Northern Hemisphere in 2023 had floods upon floods. In fact, the whole world, even in the Southern Hemisphere, in places like South Africa, storm surges and flash flooding has taken place. This continues to be a priority, and it continues to be a deeply held value by the emerging labor force. Again, this can be a really good thing in terms of your employability skills, showing a concern for sustainable practice. And then, of course, all of the stresses, again, workplace mental health continues to be a challenge. And this is why I'm running through these reports as part of the employability skill of resilience, building up that ability to sustain yourself long term. What this also means is making sure that we align the choices we're making, particularly in terms of the kind of careers we want, with our deeply held value systems. Now, if we're not quite sure what our values are, it's worth finding that out, right? What do you value? And again, as part of this Udemy course, you will be doing your career anchors, which is a really helpful way to make sure that you are aligning with your values long term to be more sustainable. So really interesting here in terms of the top reasons people chose to stay in a current organization. For the millennials, it was a good work-life balance. And also for Gen Zs, a close 32% a good work-life balance. And you can again see the list of all the other things listed on the data sheet there. Again, I can't help emphasize how this connects to your values and your career anchors. In terms of top concerns, Gen Zs are concerned about the cost of living. They're probably going to be the generation that will struggle to own their own homes. And again, this was echoed by Gen Y. And again, this does give them, therefore, a different way in which they're thinking about their career progression and the way in which they secure their work. So again, helpful insight in understanding what resilience means for the emerging generation, particularly if you are in that age group and you are doing this course at the moment on employability.